Hey, I wanted just to give a quick rundown of how to use this history introduction lesson. This is a lesson that uses your own primary sources to tell your story, and then for our students to make connections between our story and the importance of history, and how history is my story, it's your story, it's all of our stories. And so you're going to have your students act as historians to analyze your primary sources from your story, whether it be a family member, loved one, someone that's significant in your life, in your story. And then at the end, your students will have an opportunity to share their own evidence of their story. So this is set up as basically a template, and I'll show you how to edit it so that you can use it in your own class. So if you open this in Google Slides, some of this is already set up in the background of the slide. But what you're going to do is add your own evidence. So my evidence is here. So in this case, my students would be analyzing evidence of my grandfather. This is my first piece of evidence. It doesn't give a lot of information. Okay, so this is just in loving memory of Reverend Fuad M. Tini. There's not a lot to it. And so we'll talk about how one piece of evidence is not necessarily reliable. So we're going to be looking at multiple pieces of evidence. So what you'll do is you can just click this and delete and then upload your own evidence. So if you are like, well, I don't know what to do. So you can do either like an upload your own images. So if you have images saved on your computer, you can go insert image and upload from a computer, upload from your drive. You can also, if you don't have a scanner to scan your images onto your computer, you can always just take a photo of a photo using your smartphone and then upload that. Or if you have a PDF document, you could always just screenshot and make an image of that and then I'll show you how I did that on my second piece of evidence to add that as well. One of the things you'll notice on the side are these tabs. I have set this up so this is going to jump to, these will jump to two different pages of questions. So there's evaluate questions and context questions for each piece of evidence. So if you click this, it'll take them to slide 15, which then has the evaluation questions for evidence number 1. So then they can jump here and jump back to their evidence number 1. This one here jumps to 2, so you can see your context. Okay, so those are your questions. So we go through, we talk about how we need multiple sources, so then we look at some additional evidence. So what I've done is this next piece of evidence was a document that was hard to read, so I split it into 2 pages. So slide 1 has the top and slide 2 has the bottom, just so it's easier to read. And where I got, this is the naturalization papers for my grandfather. He immigrated to the United States from Lebanon. And so where I actually found this using Ancestry.com. Now, I didn't pay for Ancestry.com. I have a library card for my local library, and we actually have access to the digital Ancestry.com through my library, and I use my library card to gain access to that. So if you're kind of not sure where to get information, that could be a good starting point for you. And let me tell you, it is so fun to search for information on your family and loved ones, and maybe just people in your life that have been significant. So anyways, that's where I found that document. So again, these are linked. So this will, because this is evidence 2, it's going to link to evaluate to, and then again, this is the top and the bottom. So when you add your own evidence, if you don't need 2 pages, just delete this page, and then also on the top one, delete one of the tabs. Well, actually, you don't even need to delete both tabs. Just leave them because it'll take you to the 2 slides. But you don't need both. So you can just delete one. Okay? So then we have evidence 3. Now, this one, if I had given my students this piece of evidence first, we could talk about how we know nothing. Like, this isn't there. We don't know anything about this photo. But maybe if we can use multiple pieces of evidence, we can maybe figure out who this person is, and using the document we can figure out maybe some of the names of the other people in the images. Again, these are linked, okay? So you can just take that out and put your own image in. The questions here are all editable, so you can change these to meet your needs, change it to better fit your evidence that you're looking at, Okay, so you go through, your students can fill this in through Google Docs, and you don't have to do all of it. I mean, you could just talk about this if you didn't want to go through and have your students fill in all of this, or maybe you only wanted to do 2 pieces of evidence. 3 is usually, I mean, I like to have at least 3. You could do more. And then corroboration. So here, you might have your students use the internet to say, what do other documents say? Maybe they go online and they put in the name of that person. Maybe they do some other research. Maybe they can check to see if the documents agree. Maybe there's an article. And I already know this because there is an article, a news article written on my grandfather. So in this case, I know they could jump online and find additional evidence, but you may, go off of what you have. And then the thing that I have here is from evidence 1 through 3, which is the most reliable and why. So we're talking about validity here. And then at the end, I'm sharing with my students that history matters because this is my story. And we talk about this photo here, how this is my grandfather, my grandmother, this is my mom. And then we can put those pieces together and talk about why history matters and how history is the story of all of us. And then you can have your own students bring in their evidence that represents their story. And one of the things to remember is it doesn't have to be a relative or a family member that represents us. It could be someone significant in our lives or someone special. It may be an event as well. So this is just a rundown of how to use this. If you have other questions, you can always reach out to me directly. I hope this is a great introduction lesson for your history class.